for. You guys can come up here now. Okay, you guys just stand there. Will, you can come up now. You can stand in that corner. Adrian, get your butt up here. You stand right there. Okay, so my lesson is called the cage. So, okay, you guys can tell me as I'm talking. Um, basically, this is a representation. Get This is a representation of how like your friend circle is. You guys can hold hands if you. Okay. So actually, I probably should move the so you don't run into it. Okay. So I don't know if you guys like have a lot of like friends or like your inner circle, but in my inner circle, some of my friends are not as much as godly as some of the others. So when I bring all of my friends to church, I will stay closer to God, and my friends around me will follow me. Okay? So if I come this way, my circle will follow me. Just back up. And then whenever I'm in church and they just kind of stay closer. Will is Jesus if you didn't. Sorry. And that, or Adrian is the representation of like the devil and the world, basically. Um, so when you have that one friend that kind of stir you away, they try to pull you this way. Hi. Closer to the world, and it kind of gets a little frustrating for your other friends that are godly and that go to church and want to focus in like the Bible, but you're trying to stay closer and go closer. And whenever that one friend that is just done with like surrounding themselves in like the world and just like being surrounded by like the flesh, they will try to they will try to bring you back to God, but then the other people that are still focused on the world and still focused on like not the Lord and trying to bring you back. And those friends that are your godly friends, they're like, why do you keep on dragging me back to where I shouldn't be? So then they break out of your circle. You can go that way. But then the rest of your friends will still connect again and try to take you back to where they want you to be. And then when you're still stuck in that still stuck in that circle, it becomes your cage. And when you obviously see Jesus and you're like, well, maybe I should start going back to church. But then you just can't break through. You can't any type of way you try to go, you just can't break through. And when you start to realize that the world and the devil is not the place that you should be, you just break through the cage and you stay over and you're like, all right, come on guys, you guys can go. And then but when you then they all, like, maybe you take them to church camp and they get saved, so then they start to come to church with you. Maybe you talk to them about God and you get them saved, they'll start coming to church with you. But then you forget about yourself and you focus on God, which makes God in the center of your circle, and you connect with your circle. And when God is in your circle, then nothing can break your like bond of your friends. But when you're in the circle and when you're still trying to figure out if I should go back there, sorry Elliot, if I should go back there, but God's in the way. And he tells you, nope, stay back, stay back. But this is basically the representation of like how I've realized that no matter, you guys can go sit back down, no matter how your friend circle is, no matter if you think that you are going to, if your friends are going to never believe in God, then that's false. I've had multiple of my friends that I've been like, nope, there's no way I could convince them. Talked about it with them so many times, they're not going to come. One of those friends came to church camp and got saved. One of those friends, I actually talked to them, and they came to VBS last year in the winter retreat, and they ended up getting saved too. So no matter what your friend circle is, no matter if they're even out of the friend circle, you should always try to bring them back to where you have with God. And if you would turn to Ephesians 3. If someone wants to read 16 for me.
That he would grant you according to the riches of his glory to be strengthened with might by his Spirit in the inner man.
So that basically what I've took out of that verse was that when you're so focused on the inner man, how like I was in the middle, and how you focus on yourself, and when you try to make your friends happy to where you start to go back to like what they're doing, like if that's even, I don't know, drugs, alcohol, anything that could pull you away from God, that it's all focused on who's in the circle, like who's in the inner circle. Can somebody read verses 17 through 19?
That Christ may dwell in your hearts by faith, that ye being rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth and length and depth and height, and to know the love of Christ which passeth all knowledge, that ye may be filled with all the fullness of God. Through 20?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Now to him that is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to his power that worketh in us.
So, basically, again, what I've got out of that was, when you surround yourself around God, and when God's in your inner circle, like in your inner circle, then it starts to be this new beginning, to where all your friends are like, oh, let's go to church on Sunday, when they used to be like, oh, let's go to this party that this friend's throwing. And when you start to see your own friends that you never thought that would ever go to church or would ever just like believe in anything, that when you put, like, you bring God into the situation, it's completely new, and it just makes your whole path and your just like yourself better. Now on to like good friends. You can go to Proverbs 18. And if someone could read when you get there, verse 24.
Verse 24.
Yeah.
A man that hath friends must show himself friendly, and there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother.
So when you have, like it says, when you show yourself, like you show your friends who can truly, like how God can be truly your like best friend, and that He can show you the path that you're supposed to be on, they're gonna realize how like close that you're like gonna be, and how God feels like you've become like brothers and sisters more than like enemies, basically. Um, um, through like my friendships that I've had, what I was talking about, like with my friends. Um, when I was talking to one of them, when I talked to her about getting saved, um, when she came to church camp, she was like, I feel like we've gotten closer because of the way that you're so close to God, that when I'm close to God, I'm closer to you. Um, then we can talk about, the next thing is devil and your bad friends. There's a lot of moving around, sorry. Matthew 5. I'll read this one. Ye have heard that it hath been said, thou shalt love thy brother and hate thy enemy. So when you bring that friend to church, and um when you try to show them like how you should live for the Lord, then you become like brothers and sisters, more than you were their enemy. And your worst enemy is the devil. And you never want to go back, um, or you never want to go to the place where your friends are taking you back to the world, and how, um, like they will deceive you to make you think that, um, that, oh, this, I don't know, this drug is so amazing, just try it. But then that one friend that broke out of your circle is like, no, 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 don't do that, and you don't listen to them, then the devil has got you, and he will try to pull you back. But you gotta realize that when you were closer to God, then that's when you were the most happiest. And um, again, when you have your friends and they're trying to steer you away from God, you're like, why did I end up doing this? Why am I still here? So then you bring your friends to church. You bring um, your friends to church camp. You start just like even sitting and like reading the Bible with them. You start to go back and have God in your inner circle. Um, and then, as I said, that your friends and the devil will deceive you. Um, go to 2 Timothy 3. Verse 13. But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. So when you have the devil trying to be in your ear and trying to tell you you should listen to your friends, you should um, stay where you are, because if you don't stay where you are, they won't like you. They won't hang out with you anymore. They won't be your friend anymore. But in my experiences, when I focus on the Lord and make Him in my inner circle, then that's the closest I've been to my friends. And no matter if, like, we all sin, we all fall back sometimes, but you gotta focus and stay where God planned you to be on, in the path that you're supposed to be on. Um, and when you listen to those evil men, as it says, then you will be deceived and deceived and deceived again. But when you don't listen to what they have to say, and no matter if they stop being your friend, stop like even make you feel like you don't have any friends anymore, you can find friends in church. Um, you can even your friend is Jesus. Um, and it doesn't matter how many friends you have, um, uh, how many people that you have in your life that aren't saved, you can get them saved. And no matter if they're being like they're trying to deceive you, that like you can never help me, you can never pull me away from where I am right now. That God will never change me. He will. And I have living proof of it. All right, you can go to now 2 Timothy 14. Oh, lost my space. Or I think it's supposed to say 4, not 14. Sorry, guys. um, I'll read it. Notwithstanding, the Lord stood with me and strengthened me, that by me the preaching might be fully known, and that all the Gentiles might hear, and I was delivered out of the mouth of the lion. So when you bring those friends to church, and the friends that you've never thought would be in church, even the friends you bring to church and you think they are listening to what God has like said, and what like even when Will preaches, you think, oh, they're listening, they obviously got something out of this. But when you gotta ask them, and you you got to show them that with the friends that you thought them were coming to church, you got to show them that even through you, that you can be that light, that 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 can pull them back from the darkness. And when they hear something that really can help them, then that will strengthen them to come back to church. That will make them feel that like maybe I should have listened to her a long time ago. And no matter how many times that somebody tells you that I'm not gonna come to church with you, you just gotta keep asking. You gotta keep trying to bring them back to where they're supposed to be. Even now with all the crazy stuff in the world, anyone can go to God and can have their walk of faith. No matter how far they think they're in the darkness, they're really actually closer to the light, because God loves everyone equally, and it doesn't matter how much you sin, how much you've done, God will always take you in and make you his son or daughter. Now we can go to 2 Timothy 3:17. That the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly finished unto all good works. So we're never gonna be perfect. Only person that is perfect is God. But you can try to no matter how hard you try to be like him, you're not going to be, but you can show him that you're trying by your good works. You can show him by bringing those friends to church. You can just, even if you don't bring them to church, you can just show them by the way you act that there's something special about you. And like, yeah, the way that I've, just as my personal experience, whenever I invited my friends to church, they were, like, I don't think so, but when they saw me coming to church every Sunday, coming, just reading my Bible, doing things that they don't do on a regular basis, they're like, maybe I should try to do that. And when you show people that there's a special thing about you, because we're all new because we have Jesus.
Yep.
No, people are like, no, I'm not gonna be friends with them because they're Christian. Well, sorry, but I have the truth, and I have something that one day hopefully you'll have, but if you don't, that's your choice. And whenever I've talked to my friends about that, and like the ones that have gotten saved and have been to church a couple of times, they're like, I think I see that something special. And I think that how I see you're special and how I see the light that's coming from you, I think I can have that kind of light for myself. So basically, the whole thing that what this was about was that no matter how you think that, oh, this person won't be your friend anymore, they won't come to church, I won't have any friends because this person is unsaved and they don't know what God truly is. It doesn't matter what people think of you. It doesn't matter how like you think that they make you feel so much better than what you could truly have. It's all wrong, because even if you don't think that those friends will be like, even if you don't have any friends, you will find friends in church. You can find a friend in God as well. And I'm sure anybody in this room right now, if you feel like you don't have a friend, then I'm your friend. And you can talk to anybody in this room, they'll probably be your friend.
Yeah.
And even if you feel like, oh, they're too godly for me, no. Because if you feel like they're too godly for you, maybe you should try to see what they're doing to make them look different than anybody else, because there's been some times where I'm like, maybe I shouldn't talk to I don't know, Audra, for example. Maybe I shouldn't talk to her about this, because then she'll like try to show me that there's so many other options that I could do to be doing better. But when you actually listen to some people's advice, then you can get closer to God, no matter if that's praying more, reading your Bible more, listening to church, being off your phone when you're in church. Then you can focus on what God truly has for you. And some people don't know what their path's gonna be, um, what God has set for them. But some people just don't listen. They don't know how. Um, they're like, oh, well, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Well, maybe God's told you, but you aren't listening. Um, and just try to um, focus on, like, I don't know where to go with that. um, maybe like the people that are like, um, well, I'm not as perfect as these people seem. Well, maybe God showed them something else that they're supposed to be doing, that because everybody has their own plan, and God has a plan for everyone. And maybe that's still staying at this church and working in the nursery, or working um or working just downstairs with the kids, or um like teaching Sunday school, or if that's traveling and telling people about God, or if even that's telling people that you're your closest friends about God. Um, no matter what you do, God has a plan for you, and it doesn't matter if you think that, oh, this person has so much stuff going on in their life where it looks like God has their whole plan set. Maybe they don't know actually what they're supposed to be doing. They're just trying to make it seem that they know what's going to happen, because nobody truly knows, because you could have a set plan, but then God could change it the next second. Um, and it doesn't matter um, what you think somebody else has, or that you think is more perfect than you, or you think, oh, well, since they read their Bible, then they read their Bible more, so obviously they're going to know more. But you also got to think about, what am I doing? What do I need to change in my walk to make me feel that way that I think somebody else is? Because some people will be like, oh, well, since they're too perfect for me that I can't hang out with them, or I can't talk to them about anything. Well, God always has an answer for you. Um, and I've had people, um, like even people that you think that um, aren't gonna be in, like, not gonna come to church. Um, you just gotta show them, gotta be like, this is what God has for you and what He can do for you. Um, and even if you think, like I said earlier, how that person can be that perfect person, um, like I said before, nobody's perfect, and it's just the way you have to perceive yourself to others. Because if you think that somebody else is more perfect than you, or that even your other friends that are in church, um, if they are doing more, then maybe you should do more. Um, because I've, even at like church camp, I've realized I've seen people like reading their Bibles, and I'm like, wow, I am so focused on doing other stuff that I can't even sit down for like 5 seconds to read my Bible. Um, and it's just the way that the devil is trying to make you think that you can't do um, stuff that you think that other people can just have, and just that are it's automatically going to click in their head, and they're always going to get something out of the service, or um, whatever you think that they're more um, they're more advanced than you are, then you should talk to them about it. You should be like, what do you do to be more with like, how do you feel more close to God? Um, like how should I, like what should I do to try to better myself, um, and make myself feel like I'm closer to God? Well, there's a couple things you can do. You can read your Bible. Um, you can even ask God what to do. You can sit and have a one-on-one conversation with somebody that is an authority figure in church and be like, what can I do in church to help out? Like, ask Brianna, do you need help in the nursery? Um, um, you can ask Will, can I teach tonight? Um, and just kind of be an example. No matter if you feel like somebody else is more perfect than you or um, anything, you can feel as that perfect person that you think that somebody else is if you try. Because there's some people that are just like, oh, I can never do that. I can't read a book. I'm not gonna sit and read my Bible. A book is different than the Bible. um, because if you're focused in it, you can get a lot of stuff out of it. Um, and sometimes if you do read your Bible, sometimes you don't get anything out of it. But if you keep consisting to try and try, it's all about trying. And one day it will click and you'll be like, oh, that's how, that's what God's trying to show me to do. Um, like, even from experience, I never thought that I would leave the United States. And I went to the Philippines and I don't normally talk to people like this. But when I went to the Philippines, it really got me out of my comfort zone. And God kind of showed me, like, if you want to talk to people, you kind of get yourself out there. And that's when my friends started coming to church, when I realized, um, that I just need to show others that no matter who you are, no matter what is going on in your life, that you can be that light in other people's lives and a light in your life. Um, and From the beginning of this, set yourself around good friends. Um, Will's had discussions about trying to figure out who are your friends and who are your foes. And even at church camp, we've talked about who you should have as your friends and who you shouldn't. Um, you can have any sorts of friends that you want to, but just try to bring them back to where um, don't listen to them if they're doing any type of like things that you shouldn't be doing and they're trying to make you feel that, oh, I'm cool because I do this, or but the cool thing is you have Jesus in your heart. Um, and that's what makes you unique, and that's what makes you cool. um, but and if you feel like you need to talk to somebody about like even if it's that you need to do like a Bible study with someone or um like if you don't like reading alone, I'm sure you can find somebody that you can read with and start reading your Bible with. Um, and even I'll read with you. um, and even those friends that you thought that you could never bring to church, I'm sure God has a plan for them to come to church. Um, Even as like give Audrey an example for at church camp when um her friend came to church camp and then she had to leave unexpectedly. And then her mom even said that she was kind of like a new person. Um, like I don't know if she's has been got saved or not, but they're new person because you showed them what what that light in your like their lives can be, um and how they can direct their path for what God has in set for them. Um and even I'm not saying you shouldn't be friends with those ungodly friends, cuz I'm not saying that. But um if you feel like they're not going to be your friend anymore because you go to church, well, maybe that's something that you should talk to them about, because um, God can be a better friend than anyone can. Um, but there's been multiple times where I have listened to those friends and been like, maybe, maybe just once. No, don't do it once. Don't do it. Don't do it. Um, and if you are thinking about doing something, talk to God first. Talk, and even if you're thinking about, like, I don't know, um, trying to figure out like what God has set in store for you, talk to Him about it, and try to get yourself out of like how I. One of my things that I've tried to um, better myself in is talking to people, because there's been a couple times where God has been like, talk to that person, and I'm like, I don't know that person. um, but there's been times where God's been like, talk to that person, and I go talk to that person, and then they're like, thank you, because I really needed that. Um, and God's trying to tell you stuff every day, but sometimes if you don't listen, you're never gonna have that experience again, and He's gonna be like, well, you said no the first time, so um, He'll give you trial after trial and trial, and that one time that you listen, that could change your life. Um, I give myself an example again. With those friends, I was like, no, they're fine. They're okay. Um, they won't listen to me. They um, even my family members. I'm like, well, mm, should I tell them? Should I try to get them to come to church? And half of those people that I have talked to, they've actually came. Because I put myself out there and I was like, hey, we have this event coming up at church. You should come. Um, and two of the situations have bettered their lives. Um, well, obviously you don't see them right now, but um, because they're falling away again. And um, you just got to keep trying. Um, didn't think I was gonna cry. But um, even even if you do talk to them and you see them falling away, keep trying, and um, try to make them feel that they have a person that is um, still trying to keep them in that plan that God has for them. Um, because and like I give my mom as an example. Um, I still to this day don't know if she's saved. Um, sorry. Um, but I keep trying and trying, because I know one day that God's gonna tap on her shoulder and be like, maybe you should listen to her. And sorry. um, sorry. But um, up to you. And you feel like maybe this is your first time coming to church, or maybe you like haven't been going, and then you come back and this is what you hear, and you're like, maybe that's what I should have listened to a long time ago. And when you start seeing those friends come to church, and when you start seeing yourself be more engaged with God because you've told those friends, it's an amazing feeling. And I'm telling you, if you aren't saved, please get saved, because it will change your life for the better. And no matter if, like I said, if you think that those friends aren't going to come to church, well, you're wrong. Because it's just a matter of to keep trying. Um, and you don't want your friend circle to become your cage. You want that to be your circle. And have God in your inner circle and not yourself. And